On today's podcast, you'll learn 8 more colloquial expressions so that you can sound more like a native speaker. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig.
Hello and welcome to the podcast, especially if you're a new listener. It's lovely to have you with us. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And together with nearly 50 years of teaching English, we're going to help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you, mate?
I'm doing very well, thanks. I'm enjoying this time of year. It's spring. Just the start of spring when we're recording this. I've no idea when you listener are listening to it. You could be listening to it in winter or summer, I don't know. But it's spring here in Valencia, which is a very pleasant time of year.
It's my favourite time of year, and it's always a pleasure to get podcasting with you, even when it's sunny outside. So we're bringing you 8 more common colloquial expressions due to popular demand, which means people have been asking for more of these colloquial expressions, and this is the 9th one that we've done. So if you go to the webpage inglespodcast.com and search for colloquial expressions, you will find 8 previous episodes with different expressions that you can learn and use and expand your English. What's the first one, Reza?
Well, the first one is to get up to speed. You could also say to bring someone up to speed. So if I want to know what's happening, I need to get up to speed. But if another person is going to tell me what's been happening, then that other person will bring me up to speed. Also, you could say to bring someone up to date. What it means is to either inform a person of the latest events happening, or can also mean to get the highest level of efficiency out of something.
Reza, do you think it's a good idea if I bring people up to speed on my B2 First course?
I think you should, because it's well worth knowing about.
So let me bring you up to speed. It's going really, really well. I've got some positive feedback. And if you are studying for the B2 First exam, there are 2 ways you can do this course. The first way is at your own speed, which means you decide when you study. And the other way is to join a 30-day course with me. And together with a group of people, we will go through the course day by day. You can find more information on the website at englishmasterclass.net, or just sign up for our podcast newsletter on the website at inglespodcast.com, and you will be brought up to speed next time I send a newsletter to you.
Our next expression is to be on tenterhooks. I'd better spell that word, tenterhooks. It might be a new word for you. TenterHooks. To be on tenterhooks.
When I was very young, I thought it was tender hooks. Tender as in soft, the opposite of tough. Soft, but it's not, it's tenterhooks. What's a tenterhook?
A tenterhook is a sharp hook, so un gancho, hook, that fastens cloth to a tenter. So what is to fasten? To fasten is to make something securely attached. You know how when you get in a plane and at the beginning they go through the drill of everything you got to do, they say, fasten your seatbelts. Fasten. So make your seatbelt secure. Close it, make it secure. So a tenterhook fastens cloth to a tenter, which is a frame on which the cloth is stretched. A bit like a tent. Think of the word tent. Yeah? So tenterhook begins T-E-N-T. So a tent. Una tienda in Spanish. Una tienda de acampar, right? So you would fasten this cloth to the tenter, the frame, to maybe dry or prevent the cloth from shrinking. Yeah? to prevent it from getting smaller. So the phrase to be on tenterhooks compares the tenseness, how tense the fabric is, to the feeling of a person being very tense. So if you're on tenterhooks, it's like you've been stretched like this piece of cloth on the tenter. So there's a lot of tension there.
So imagine you've entered a competition or you've just taken an exam and you're waiting for the results. You're stressed, you're nervous. What's happened? Did I pass the exam? You can say, I'm on tenterhooks. I haven't heard any news yet. Or you're in the middle of a really interesting TV series, but the next episode won't be released until next week. What happens? What's going to happen to the hero? I'm on tenterhooks to know what will happen next episode.
A similar expression you could use, and other idiomatic expression, is to wait with bated breath. So bated breath is when you stop breathing. So instead of breathing normally, you go, ah, and you wait before you breathe. So obviously, if you do that, you're very tense. So to wait with bated breath, so your breath has stopped, is similar to be on tenterhooks.
Some of our listeners wait with bated breath for the next episode to be released. Our next expression is to give someone a heads up. A heads up. So that's a phrasal noun. Heads up is often hyphenated. Head, as in H-E-A-D, heads, up, U-P. And this is when you tell someone about something before it happens, especially if there's maybe a future difficulty or some trouble or some danger that might happen. So imagine you're working and your head is down and you're working on your computer or writing something, and you lift your head up because somebody's come into the room. So the idea of to give a heads up is to call attention to something. For example, can you give me a heads up about the meeting next Tuesday? Can you tell me what they're going to speak about? Can you give me information about something that's happening in the future? And you can thank somebody for giving you a heads up. So if Reza tells me there's going to be a bus strike in Valencia tomorrow and I was thinking of traveling, I might say, oh, well, thanks for the heads up, Reza. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for telling me in advance.
Our fourth colloquial expression is to think outside the box. It's similar to blue space thinking or lateral thinking, and it means to think imaginatively, using new ideas instead of traditional or expected ideas. So if you can kind of picture an image in your mind that there's a box, and the box is full of traditional ideas, the ideas that everybody tends to have. So if you think outside the box, these ideas are not in that box. They're new ideas. And I guess we say blue space thinking because blue space probably refers to like the sky. So they're ideas up there in the sky. Like we don't really know much about them. They're new. So think outside the box, blue space thinking or lateral thinking.
In fact, some companies actually give the employees a free day for being creative, don't they? For example, Thursday is blue sky thinking or lateral thinking day. Thursday is the day where you don't have to do what the company says. You don't have to do traditional work. Thursday is the day when you can play, be imaginative, think of new ideas, and think outside the box to develop new ideas and new services, new products.
Now, Craig, I imagine that when you designed your new B2 First e-course, you had a lot of work to do. I imagine you were a bit snowed under when you were preparing that course, were you?
There was a period in which I was very snowed under, snow, S-N-O-W-E-D, and then the preposition under. To be snowed under means to be up to your ears or up to your eyes or up to your neck in work. You're very busy, you are tied up with work. I can also say knee deep. Knee, K-N-E-E-D-E-E-P, knee deep in work. Or perhaps rushed off my feet. If you're rushed off your feet, you're very, very busy with work or with anything. I'm sorry I haven't been in touch. I've been rushed off my feet this week. I've been snowed under. Remember, you can see all of these expressions on the webpage at inglespodcast.com/410. Reza, have you been snowed under recently?
I have. I had a lot of correction to mark. I had a lot of exams to prepare. I was giving a few seminars and I barely had enough time to do it all. So I did feel snowed under. I felt like I was up to my neck in work.
Which time of year would you say you are the most snowed under with work?
Generally about June, because it's the end of the academic year and anything that hasn't been done up to then has to be done. And for children's classes, reports have to be written. And for all students, you have to think about what they should do the next academic year. You've got to decide. June, I would say. What about for you?
Well, now my work's changed a bit. My schedule's changed. So I tend to be snowed under towards the end of the month because some things have to be done at the end of the month, and that's when I tend to be snowed under. And also, of course, before the tax declaration, which in Spain here is in June. So I get very busy, up to my neck in work just before we have to submit our taxes, our income taxes. But I think one reason that Reza is often very snowed under and up to his eyes, up to his ears in work is because he goes the extra mile when he does something. What does go the extra mile mean?
If you go the extra mile, it means you make more effort than is really expected of you. So you didn't strictly have to do what you did. You voluntarily made an extra effort. You could also say that you go above and beyond. The full version, to go above and beyond the call of duty.
If you're a soldier.
Exactly. So you have your duty, what you have to do. You have to fight. You have to defend your city, your country. But imagine you go on a special commando attack into enemy territory and do something really dangerous. Well, then you went above and beyond. You went the extra mile. You didn't have to do that. You volunteered to do that.
What's interesting is that it's always to go the extra mile. We never say to go the extra kilometre. So it's a very fixed expression, to go the extra mile. It doesn't change. And it's important for you to go the extra mile with your English studies, to keep working and keep studying. And that's the bottom line. That's our next expression, the bottom line. That's the most important factor that you have to consider. It's also used in business from time to time because it represents the total amount of money that a company has made or lost over a particular period of time. The bottom line in a business deal is the least a person is willing to accept. So I could say, for example, that yeah, we can negotiate, we can speak about price, but the bottom line is I can't go below 500 euros, for example. That's the bottom line. That's the extreme. Another example from the coronavirus pandemic, wearing any type of mask is better than wearing no mask at all. That's the bottom line. That's the most important thing you have to remember.
Our final colloquial expression for you today, the eighth one, is in a nutshell. So a nut could be a peanut, a hazelnut, an almond, a nut, yeah, fruto seco. And the shell is what's around it. So you might buy a packet of peanuts from the supermarket which has no shell, but when they were on the plant where they grow, they were in a shell. So in a nutshell, yeah, is an idiomatic expression. We're not really talking about nuts. We're talking about in the fewest possible words. Yeah. So you've got the nut in the shell. Let's not complicate life. You got a shell, open the shell, there's the nut. That's what you're interested in. That's what you want to know. So in a nutshell, the fewest possible words, the quickest way to say something, to make a long story or to cut a long story short. You can also say in a word, although it could be more than one word, it could be a few words, but we say in a word or in short. So in a nutshell, it's the same as those. It means here I'm going to tell you the quickest way possible, the basic information that you need to know in a nutshell.
So let's give you an example. I could say to Reza, I've been really busy these last 2 days. I've been totally snowed under. Why have I been snowed under? Why have I been so busy? Well, in a nutshell, I went on holiday, I went away, and when I came back, there was a lot of work to do. So in a nutshell, I went on holiday. That's the short way of explaining why I've been so busy. So we hope you found these 8 expressions useful, and if there were 2 or 3 that stood out or that you especially liked, make a note, write them down and use them as soon as possible. Incorporate them, get them into your everyday vocabulary. We'll just go through them again very quickly. The first one was to get up to speed or to bring someone up to speed.
The second one was to be on tenterhooks.
Number 3 was to give someone a heads up.
The fourth one was to think outside the box.
When you're very, very busy, you are snowed under.
And the sixth one is to make more effort than you need, to go the extra mile.
The most important factor, the most important thing is the bottom line.
And if you want to say something in the fewest words possible, the basic information, it's in a nutshell.
And now it's your turn to practice your English. We want you to go the extra mile and reach out and contact us. Send us a voice message. Tell us where you're from, what your name is, and any ideas you might have for future episodes. You can reach us by voice on SpeakPipe, that's speakpipe.com/Ingles podcast.
Or if you prefer, you could write an email. You can send it to craig@inglespodcast.com or to me, belfastreza@gmail.com.
If you're interested in paid courses to help you with your English, you can find information on the Mansion Ingles website. Go to store.mencioningles.net.
As always, at the end of every episode, we'd like to thank all of you who help us through the Patreon scheme. That's Patreon. And those people pay a donation of $1.20 per month. So that's the minimum amount you have to pay. And as a thank you to those people who donate the money, we give them instant access to recent audio transcriptions. So if you're interested, why not have a look at the link we got in the show notes? So go to patreon.com/Ingles podcast.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to thank all of our wonderful Patreon supporters, but we will say thank you and hello to the latest person who has joined us this month, and that is Mar Martin Moreno. Thank you very much, Mar, and all of you who are supporting us on Patreon. Reza, what are we speaking about next week?
On next week's episode, we'll be looking at talking about money and negotiating price.
So we'll be going the extra mile next week to bring you some vocabulary on money. Until next time, thank you so much for listening this week. It's goodbye from Reza.
And it's goodbye from Craig.
The music in this episode is by Hits. The track is called See You Later.